ever wish your day wasn't dictated by your health? Are you tired of being tired all the time, or is pain holding you back from enjoying your time with your family? Would you like to manage your symptoms holistically, but you just don't know where to begin? I am so excited that you're here. This podcast will help you understand how natural remedies work so you can relieve your symptoms and live a fuller life. My name is Penny. I'm an occupational therapist, past pharmaceutical rep, a mom, and a wife with a strong faith, and for 25 years, I battled through debilitating Crohn's disease. I took all the medicine and did all the surgeries that stole so much time with my family, but never truly healed me. I finally realized if I was going to survive this disease, I needed to open my stubborn eyes to alternative solutions. I researched how perfectly our bodies work with plants and a lifestyle that made my health less of a burden to my family and aligned so beautifully with my faith and my medical training. If you are ready to reclaim your life with holistic options that are easy to implement as a busy mom and provide relief that lasts, this is the podcast for you. Hey, this is Penny. Welcome back to Becoming Natural. I am your host, and we are on episode 33. What an amazing blessing. This is so much fun. I can't believe I'm in the 30s already. Today, our title is The Shocking Link Between Sleep Loss and Your Health. Sleep is not a luxury, my friends. It is your most powerful medicine for your body. So I can't wait to dive deep into this. We have never considered sleep necessarily beneficial for your health if you have it or harmful for your health if you don't. So I have found and uncovered a lot of really interesting information. But first, we're going to go to today's review, and it is anonymous. Becoming Natural is a must listen, rooted in faith, as she states, finding humor through her journey and telling it how it is. I can't wait to hear what's next. Thank you so much, y'all. Reviews mean the world to me. I get excited every single time one comes in. So if you feel like giving a review to Becoming Natural, you can go to the show page in Apple Podcasts and scroll down to leave a review. I love it, and I love reading them. It inspires me. So I also wanted to say that I had a little small hiccup on my website as I was working on it, and I clicked a button that you shouldn't have pushed, and it basically messed up my entire blog. So every time I have a podcast, I go over to my website and I put the podcast on there, and I have a summary, and I have all the links and all the things that I tell you I'm going to do that are also in the show notes. So basically, if you're used to going over there, I have to redo it all. So it's going to come back. It's just going to come back a little bit at a time as I get it all put back all together. So that was my own little finger that touched the wrong button. So today we are diving into something that just might change your life, or at least how you spend your nights: sleep. And it's not just because you're tired, which I know we all are, but because sleep is one of the most powerful healing tools that we have. And most of us treat it like it's a luxury, and it's not. It is medicine. Did you hear that? For the people in the back, like me, sleep is not something to be treated as a luxury, but as a mandatory piece of our day. Sleep is one of the best forms of healing that we have to offer ourselves that we can hopefully control in most situations. So let's talk about why sleep matters first, and what happens when we don't get enough sleep, and how sleep is actually necessary to heal your body. We live in a world that treats sleep like it's optional, something you squeeze in at the end of your to-do list if you even get it all in. But the truth is, sleep is not the end of your day. It's the beginning of your healing. I love that, and I'm going to quote it. I'm going to write it on my walls. Sleep is not the end of your day. It's the beginning of your healing. Am I the only one who takes a nap maybe once every couple of months? And if that, and then I feel guilty for doing so, or I think that I had just this fabulous moment of luxury, or perhaps maybe I don't even need a nap, but I should have had my full night of sleep before and I wouldn't have needed that nap. So I am in this, and I was having so much fun researching it because every ounce of this podcast applies to me. Let me walk you through what your body is doing while you sleep. Number one, it's repairing your cells, your muscles, your tissues. It's even repairing your DNA. So every day we're exposed to stressors, which we know, environmental toxins on, in, and around our body. We have a strong mental load, food sensitivities, even emotional friction if we've been dealing with highly emotional things in our life. During sleep, especially the deep sleep, right? We all talk about how we need REM sleep, REM sleep. Your body releases a growth hormone, which triggers muscle repair, tissue regeneration, fixing damaged DNA, and healing, guess what? Your gut lining. So it all comes down to the gut, y'all. For you gut friends of mine out there, who knew so many things affected our gut and why our guts are all a mess? So think of it like a night crew coming in to sweep, patch, and restore. And if you skip your sleep, your body misses its window to repair. itself. So the more sleep we get, the more time we have to repair, or we're trying to squish it all in and repair as fast as we can, and we're not getting enough time. It's also, while we sleep, we're resetting our immune system. It produces infection-fighting proteins like the cytokines. We talked about that last time. There's pro-inflammatory cytokines and pro-anti-inflammatory cytokines. And we build T cells that protect you from illness. It also teaches our immune system to know the difference between a threat to our own body, and it's super important for those of us with autoimmune challenges, especially because of those cytokines that get messed up and cause all the wires to get crossed. While we sleep, we're balancing our blood sugar and our appetite hormones. Sleep affects your metabolism big time. When you're short on rest, your hunger hormone rises. That's called ghrelin. Ghrelin. You'll probably never hear that again. But your hunger hormone rises and your fullness hormone drops. And that hormone is called leptin. That's becoming a little bit more of a hot topic lately too. So hunger rises, fullness drops, your body starts craving sugar and carbs, not because you're weak, not because you really need them, but because you're running on empty. So a lack of sleep also increases your insulin resistance, making it harder to lose weight or to keep your blood sugar stable no matter how healthy you're eating, because you're craving this fast sugar, the carbs that are easy to break down. And so we're eating the wrong things at the wrong time. Also, while we sleep, we're storing our memories and regulating our emotions. Your brain actually files away the day's events while you sleep, especially during REM sleep. And you store important information. It regulates your emotions. It strengthens your mental clarity. Without sleep, you're more forgetful, emotionally reactive, and anxious. And it's not your fault. It's literally your brain didn't have enough time to reset itself and get itself ready for the next day. So in comes the glymphatic system, Glymphatic. It's like the lymphatic system with a G. Recently discovered in the past 10 years, but it's basically your brain's cleaning crew. And something that most people don't know is that this glymphatic system is a cleaning system specifically for your brain, and it only turns on when you sleep. The glymphatic system, short for glial lymphatic, which is a network in your brain, and it removes waste, toxins, and harmful proteins. Think of it as your brain's personal detox drainage system. It does it on its own. It doesn't need a massive, detox that we try to do to ourselves. This is the way our body naturally detoxes our brain, and it works. And while we sleep, what our brain does is actually it shrinks slightly. And the cerebral spinal fluid, which is CSF, it flushes through the brain tissue. The fluid clears out the environmental toxins, the dead or the damaged cells, or even inflammatory molecules that we don't need or want. And then that waste is then carried out of our brain and filtered, you guessed it, through your lymphatic system and out of your body, just like we talked about with Aubrey in the lymphatic system podcast. Our lymphatic system is basically our sewage system, to say it nicely, but it flushes out all of the toxins from our body, sends them through the liver, and then out the door. So just imagine your brain shrinking slightly at night so this fluid can flood in, scrub everything down, and carry the garbage out. Your brain literally detoxes itself every night if you let it. So when you don't get enough deep sleep, the glymphatic system can't fully engage. That brain trash sticks around, the toxins build up over time, and it leads to brain fog, memory issues, anxiety, depression, impaired decision-making and learning, and eventually chronic neuroinflammation, meaning the inflammation of your nervous system and neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's and all the things that go wrong with inflammation in your brain. This is why sleep is so powerful. It is not just rest. It's not just the time of day that we're supposed to do it. It is actually physically restorative to our body. It allows our brain to be washed and cleaned, just like taking a little bath at night. So this matters for our healing because the glymphatic system is another beautiful way that our body shows us that healing happens when we rest. So when doctors tell us to rest, we need to really rest. You are not being lazy for needing sleep. You are not weak for slowing down. You are wise for honoring the way your body was created to detox and heal, especially overnight. To imagine that every single night our body is detoxing, it kind of motivates you to go to sleep. So what happens when we don't sleep? Let's talk about the risks of skipping out on sleep. And I say this with no judgment because this entire podcast is for me, but this is just to make ourselves aware. because we all deserve to know the cost of what's happening to us when we don't get enough sleep. But according to the CDC, 1 in 3 adults are not getting enough sleep, which is, I think 7 hours might be the minimum requirement. And here's what happens over time. Number 1, you're at greater risk for heart disease. Sleep keeps your blood pressure regulated and your heart rate in rhythm. Without enough rest, your body stays in fight or flight mode, which keeps your heart working overtime. And study shows that people who sleep less than 6 hours regularly have a 20% higher risk of a heart attack. It also leads to greater depression and anxiety. Your brain uses sleep to rebalance the neurotransmitters in the brain like serotonin and dopamine. And when you skip sleep, your amygdala, which is your fear center, gets hyperactive. And the calm, logical part of your brain, which we call the prefrontal cortex, it can't keep up. The fear is overtaking the calming portion of your brain, which results in mood swings, reactivity, and emotional exhaustion. That's why the next day after we haven't had sleep, we're cranky, we're emotional. It's not just something we can control. It is literally caused by an imbalance in our hormones from not getting enough sleep. If you don't sleep enough, you also have a tendency to gain weight. Sleep deprivation increases the ghrelin hormone, and it decreases the leptin hormone. Ghrelin is the hunger hormone, and it decreases the fullness hormone, making you crave junk and feel hungry. So it also reduces your insulin sensitivity, so your body stores more fat, even if your diet stays the same. If we don't get enough sleep, inflammation and autoimmune issues arise. Ding, ding, ding. A single night of poor sleep increases our inflammatory markers. That inflammation adds up, especially if you're already living with conditions like Crohn's disease, thyroid diseases, chronic fatigue, any autoimmune disorder. It will also lead to brain fog and cognitive decline. So without deep sleep, your brain can't clear out that waste, and that buildup contributes to memory loss, brain fog, those cognitive problems again, long-term degenerative diseases. So no, your body isn't just tired, it is under-supported. Sleep is its missing medicine. And remember our brain's cleaning system, the lymphatic system that we talked about. It only kicks into gear during deep sleep. So when you don't sleep, the toxins stick around, gunking up your brain over time, and that contributes to all the brain fog, forgetfulness, neurodegenerative diseases. So saying it nicely, when your sleep suffers, every single thing in your body suffers. It's not about being lazy or unmotivated. It's that your body is trying to survive with limited repair time. And we were not designed to live like that. This is something we have done to ourselves over time. We all know that. So now, what keeps us from sleeping? Now that we know how powerful sleep is, let's talk about why so many of us struggle to get it. We may want it, but we can't get there, especially as women, moms, busy, overextended humans, period. A lot of it comes down to how we're working against our natural rhythm called the diurnal cycle, or most commonly known as your circadian rhythm. But our bodies are built in a 24-hour clock. It's synced with light and darkness, and it's responsible for telling your brain when to wake up, when to feel alert, when to wind down, and when to fall asleep. My dog, she's got this down pat. So God wired us to follow the sunrise and the sunset, not the coffee pot and Netflix. So here's what happens when it goes sideways. If we get too much light at the wrong time, your brain it produces melatonin, which is a sleep hormone, and when it starts getting dark. But when we flood our eyes with artificial light, especially blue light from screens, melatonin gets suppressed, which means scrolling on social media in bed, your brain thinks it's midday. Watching TV until 11 p.m., same thing. Having all the overhead lights on blazing after dark, melatonin cannot peak. Your body wants darkness at night, so give it dim lights and screen breaks before bed. I don't know about anybody else, but I'm feeling very convicted about all of this because we all sit inside under fluorescent lights at work. It's so good to get outside and let our bodies have the natural reaction to light, and knowing our bodies know when the light is going down. We know that it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 4 o'clock. The other reason is if we have caffeine after lunch. I love a Coke. We all know this as much as you might love your coffee, but caffeine blocks adenosine. Adenosine is a chemical in your brain that builds up all day long, which helps you actually get sleepy at night. The problem is that caffeine has a half-life of 5 to 8 hours. So that means that if you have a 3 o'clock iced coffee, it might still be in your system at bedtime, and that caffeine is still amping you up. So even if you fall asleep, it can keep you from reaching deep restorative sleep stages. So try cutting your caffeine by 2 p.m. or swap that second cup for water or herbal tea. Even Evening sugar, snacks, or alcohol. Late night sugar and wine can feel comfortable and nice, but they often backfire. Alcohol disrupts your REM sleep, making your sleep feel very shallow, very fragmented. You kind of come and go and wake up and go back to sleep. And then sugar or high carb snacks goes back to causing that blood sugar spike. And when your blood sugar drops in the middle of the night, that can wake you up at 2 a.m., wide-eyed and restless. We had no idea how much our food affected our sleep. So instead, if you need a snack before bed, make sure it's a protein with a fat, like a boiled egg, or even like almond butter on an apple, something that doesn't spike that blood sugar level. Also, stress and high nighttime cortisol. If you feel wired but tired at night, that exhausted but I can't go to sleep feeling, it's probably because you have elevated cortisol. And I know cortisol is what everybody's talking about these days, but it's real and it happens to everyone. And we can control it in a lot of ways without doing anything except for following a good routine. But our diurnal cycle or circadian rhythm is supposed to look like this. Cortisol peaks in the morning to help you wake up and feel alert, and then it should drop naturally at night so your melatonin can rise and help you fall asleep. But when you're stressed all day, your cortisol doesn't drop. It stays high. It keeps you alert for long after you need to be. That's why having a wind down routine is so powerful. You're signaling to your body, hey, it's safe now. You can relax. And this might look like turning off your devices an hour before bed, journaling or reading before you go to bed, prayer, gratitude, taking a warm bath or shower, stretching, breath work. Take note that all of these things are related to not having your eyes in a place where it's really bright. We're trying to tell our eyes that it's time to go to bed. So these little rituals help train your body to shift gears. So sleep comes more easily. I don't know about you, but we had this kind of a routine for our kiddos when they were little, and they knew. We moved upstairs after dinner to play for a little bit. Baths came next, and then books, and then bed. And we did it for this exact reason. We were preparing them for bedtime so they didn't have trouble going to sleep. So obviously, it worked for our kids. It should work for us. Another reason we can't get to sleep that's not always easy to control is, I say, mom life sleep disruptions. I'm not sure that we as moms ever sleep solidly, even when our kids are grown and flown. But we can't ignore this reality that sometimes you're doing everything right, but maybe you have an infant, or maybe your toddler climbs in your bed, or your teen is still out at midnight and you're up waiting for them. It's a season. And you know what? You have to offer yourself grace for that season. That season will pass too. But even in that season, you can support your sleep by protecting the hours that you can control, saying no to the extra scrolling or late night chores, napping when possible and do it guilt-free, and asking for help when you need a break. If you need help, you ask a friend. If you have a good friend, they're going to help you out. So every bit of rest counts, even if it's imperfect. But bottom line, your body was designed to rise with the light and wind down with the dark. If you're fighting that cycle on screens late or chasing that dopamine hit from sugar or stress, you're staying wired into the night. It's no wonder your sleep falls off. But the good news is your body, it naturally wants to sleep. It naturally wants to put you into that healing phase. You just have to give it the right signals. So for all of us who have autoimmune disease, on top of all those reasons we might not be sleeping well, we feel tired even when we want to sleep. So why is that? Why does autoimmune disease make you so tired? Fatigue in autoimmune disease is not a normal tired. It is a bone-deep exhaustion that sleep doesn't fix. We all know that if we have an autoimmune disease. But here's why. Number one, chronic inflammation is draining your energy. Autoimmune diseases are driven by inflammation. Your immune system is attacking your own body, mistaking your tissues as a threat. And so it's using just a ton of energy because your body is constantly trying to fight something that it thinks it needs to fight. And like your immune system is stuck in overdrive, basically, burning fuel even when you're at rest. And this leaves less energy for daily life, for thinking clearly, and especially for healing. So imagine trying to run errands if you don't have an autoimmune disease while your body is secretly running a marathon inside of itself. You're never going to feel rested. Also, your brain is fighting inflammation as well. That foggy, disconnected, can't think straight feeling, that's not laziness or burnout. It's neuroinflammation. And it's the inflammation in the brain that slows down our nerve signals. It impairs our focus, our memory, and our alertness. That is why fatigue and autoimmune disease comes with what we call brain fog. Also, if you have autoimmune disease, our hormones, especially the cortisol, are off balance. Chronic inflammation throws off your adrenal glands, which produce the cortisol, which is the hormone that keeps you awake and handling stress and staying energized. So with autoimmune disease, cortisol can become too high at night, making it hard to sleep, or too low in the morning, making it hard to wake up, or completely dysregulated, causing energy crashes up and down throughout the day. You're tired because your body is stuck in a stress response loop. Autoimmune folks, we're just different. Also, our mitochondria are exhausted. Have you ever said that to someone? I'm not tired. My mitochondria are just exhausted. But your mitochondria are the powerhouse inside your cells. And if you've read the book that I keep telling you to read called Good Energy by Casey Means, you'll know that your mitochondria are everything inside your cell that make energy. They make the little ATPs that go around our body and heal what needs to be healed. And in autoimmune disease, these mitochondria can become damaged by oxidative stress. We've talked about that before, right? They're overworked due to that chronic immune activation, or they're unable to keep up with our body's energy demands, obviously, because we're in that fight or flight stage internally all the time. It's like trying to charge your phone with a frayed cable. It literally never gets fully powered. So poor sleep, even if you're in bed and you have autoimmune disease, even if you're in bed for 8 hours, your sleep may not be restorative. Autoimmune flares, pain, cortisol spikes, or nutrient deficiencies, they can prevent your deep sleep. So you may not reach enough REM or deep sleep in the stages where your brain and body truly recover. And if your lymphatic system, your brain's cleansing system, can't activate, you wake up feeling not refreshed. So if you're battling autoimmune disease and you feel exhausted all the time, it's not in your head. Your body is fighting an invisible war, as I'm sure that you are very well aware of. And fatigue is a side effect of that constant battle. You're not weak, you're inflamed. Your mitochondria, your hormones, your brain, and your immune system are in a daily fight. And that's why you feel drained all the time. This is so important, I think, for people who love people who have autoimmune disease to understand, because I always felt exhausted and I was always muscling through things. And it's so frustrating for the person who has autoimmune disease, but also to explain to someone else, I'm exhausted all the time. But healing is possible, but rest is not optional. It's part of the prescription. So when your when your doctor sends you home to rest, like mine did all the time, and I would kind of rest, you really need to rest because you need to allow your body that time to heal. So realistic ways to sleep smarter. You don't need a new mattress or a prescription to improve your sleep. Let's all try to start without using anything to put in our mouth. Like, let's try to change our routines first in order to get good sleep. So a few very realistic shifts can make a huge difference, even when you are a busy mom with kids that either are out late or up all night because they're babies. But cut caffeine after 2 p.m., eat a protein-rich snack before bed. Cool your bedroom to 65 to 68 degrees. This is awesome. Your body core needs to drop by 2 degrees in order to fall into deep sleep. If your room is too warm, your brain will stay alert. So use fans, use blackout curtains, or even a cold pack at your feet. I'm not sure I could do that. But I know that there's many people that work. ER doctors, people who work around the clock. My husband used to work shift work. It's hard to do this perfect diurnal circadian rhythm when your job requires something different of you. So there's different tricks to kind of trick your body into thinking that it's time to go to bed. Also, put your phone to bed before you go to bed, at least 30 to 60 minutes before you go to sleep. Blue light from phones and even TVs. We blame our phones and our iPads, but TVs also. They trick your brain into thinking it's still daytime. Plus, the stimulation from scrolling activates your stress system. That's why I am so done with social media. So you could just be reading something on social media and it makes you stressed out. So don't do that before bed. Create a bedtime wind down routine. And this is my new mission, but a consistent routine tells your brain, hey, it's safe. It's time to power down. This is going to be so hard to me, but I'm going to do it because I am such a night owl and my productivity light literally switches on at like 6 p.m. And as the house gets quieter, when my kids are doing homework and everybody's going to sleep, I start knocking things out like crazy. I was literally planting in my front yard at 10 o'clock 2 nights ago. But I am on a mission to set an alarm so that I know at a certain time, okay, this is it. I got to set everything down. I got to start winding down. So you can do light stretching. It's good time to read, listen to Audible, prayer, journaling, a warm bath, all great options. We need to create our own version of our tuck-in time and make it routine and stick to it. But take note that all of those tricks are regarding not allowing your eyes to see light. It's all about your eyes. Another idea for getting good sleep actually starts well before it's time to go to sleep, and that is getting morning sunlight and grounding. Your body's internal clock relies on morning light to sync up. So when the sunlight hits your eyes with no sunglasses, it shuts down the melatonin, which boosts your natural energy, and it starts the timer for your brain to make melatonin later that night. So light in the morning equals better sleep at night. So if you get outside in the morning, it helps reset your circadian rhythm. And while you're standing on the bare earth at the same time, you're killing two birds with one stone. This is called grounding, which we're going to go into that in another episode, but it helps calm your nervous system. And studies show that this combination boosts your energy and your mood. It reduces your cortisol, which is your stress hormone. It supports deeper, more restorative sleep. And I'm going to tell you, as funny as it was, I actually got a multimeter that measures energy, and I totally put this to the test with my body from being in the grass and then not in the grass. It works. It was remarkable, and I can't wait to share that with you in the future. So make it easy. Take your tea or your coffee or whatever you do in the morning, or your animal, go outside, walk around your backyard barefoot, let your light hit your face, let your eyes see the sunlight, and touch the grass or the dirt. Even for 2 to 5 minutes, it makes a difference. And it feels so good. Just like when you played in the grass as a kid, or when you walk in the sand, or when you get your hands in the dirt when you're gardening. This is truly a physical response in your body that makes all of that feel so good. So remember, sleep is not just about the number of hours. It's about how well your body shifts into that repair mode. These small changes create the conditions that your body needs to do what God designed it to do, which is healing overnight. So what to look for outside the normal signs of lack of sleep, like being tired. There's several physical signs of sleep deprivation that people often ignore, or they attribute to stress or aging or hormones, or maybe just, I'm just too busy. But these are actually your body. These are the red flags that we need to learn to listen to. That's the big thing. We're trying to listen to our body better. So I will never forget the time my middle son, he did not sleep for more than 1 hour at a time around the clock for 5 months when he was born. It was horrific. And that is not an exaggeration. It was excruciating. And I felt so horrible for him. He never learned how to sleep because every single hour he was up crying. And we had no idea at the time that he had silent reflux. But he never learned to sleep for more than 1 hour at a time. And I was literally so sleep deprived that my eyes had what's called nystagmus, something I look for in my brain injured patients, but that's when your eyes bounce back and forth and you literally cannot focus. I could not look at someone in the eyes and focus on them when I spoke. And that is caused by serious levels of fatigue or sleep deprivation. It was brutal for both of us. I will never forget it. So hopefully you never get to that point, but that is definitely a sign of sleep deprivation. Other signs, you wake up feeling tired even after 7 to 8 hours. You're hungrier than usual, especially for sugar or carbs. Your face looks puffy or inflamed. Poor sleep causes inflammation, actually, because you have fluid retention and it slows down your body's lymphatic drainage. You're breaking out more than usual, and that's because your sleep helps to regulate your hormones and reduce inflammation. So your oil production increases when the cortisol rises. You feel achy in your muscles and joints, and that's because sleep is when your body repairs your muscle tissue and you're not getting enough sleep to repair those aches and pains. You get sick more easily or take longer to recover. That's because your sleep is responsible for immune system resetting during your sleep. So without that nightly reset, you're more vulnerable to viruses, infections, and you're going to be a slow healer. You're clumsier and more forgetful because your reaction time and memory. You have dark under eye circles or dry eyes. This is not just from crying, but poor sleep actually causes blood vessels to dilate under your eyes, and it reduces natural tear production, making eyes look dull and dry. Do you know that? It's actually why you get circles in your eyes. And of course, that wired but tired at night, that's that cortisol peaking way too late in the day, keeping your body alert when it should be actually winding down. So there are natural remedies that help support deeper sleep. I would love for anybody listening to this to start with working on your cycle and your wind up time and your wind down time. But there are things that you can take to help you sleep better that are natural. I have one big warning sign here at the end, but a lot of people like to do an herbal tea. They're gentle, they're effective. They have chamomile calms your nerve system. Lavender reduces cortisol and it promotes a calmness. You can diffuse essential oils. I do this a lot for my kiddos when they can't sleep. We diffuse lavender. It's like a miracle, actually. It's very well studied for sleep and anxiety, and I just turn on the diffuser by their bed. You can use holy basil or adaptogens. Adaptogens are, a lot of people are learning now, are a mushroom that are legal. But if chronic stress is the root of your sleep, adaptogens like holy basil, ashwagandha, there's lots of different adaptogens, but they will help regulate your cortisol. So it's calming, it's more nourishing over time, it's less immediate, it takes longer, but it's going to help you get into those routines, and it's not sedating. So my big, huge word of caution here is I've helped so many people that have sleep issues, and the first thing they think to take and what they're told to take is melatonin. First and foremost, any melatonin that you take that you get at the store is fake. It's synthetic. It's not real melatonin. So it's not good for you. But it can't really mimic the natural melatonin in our bodies. If you notice earlier, by waking up to the sunlight, it wakes us up and triggers the buildup of that melatonin to make us tired later in the day. But people tend to take melatonin at night, and so it doesn't work for several hours, and it doesn't really kick in until you'll inevitably probably be wanting to wake up, and now you're groggy and completely defeating the entire purpose. I have never been a fan of melatonin, and while it sounds natural to people, so many people are shocked when they find out it's not real melatonin. There are way better options than taking melatonin. CBD, of course, this is my wheelhouse. As long as it's legal, it might be worth looking into for getting your sleep-wake cycle back on track. Some people, it helps kind of calm their nervous system, their anxiety, reduces inflammation, anything that can help them fall to sleep. However, I will say that there are all different kinds of parts of the hemp plant that solve problems for sleep, and not everyone needs the same solution. So someone maybe needs CBD while another person needs CBN, or maybe someone is taking too much THC that keeps them awake. So it's important to talk to someone who can coach you in the right direction. I'm happy, of course, to do this, but just make sure that you talk to someone that knows what they're talking about and how to help you. And lots of times it's trial and error, because we can't just determine, oh, I need CBN, or oh, I need CBD. Like it's a lot of trial and error. So definitely be aware if you're taking anything of the sort with CBD. THC can actually keep you awake if you're taking too much of it. So let me leave you with something that has really anchored me as I've learned to honor rest in my own healing journey. As you know, I've been learning to say no to things and just be home more and be more present. And I find that I do this best during the day when I'm alone, but you pick the time that works for you. We often think of rest as something we earn after we've done enough, but let's go back to the very beginning of time, the dawn of time. Genesis 2:2-3 says, "And on the seventh day, God finished his work that he had done, and he rested on the seventh day from all of his work that he had done. So God blessed the seventh day and made it holy, because on it God rested from all of his work in creation." So God, who never tires, who never sleeps, he chose to rest, not because he needed it, but because he was setting a rhythm and an example for us to follow. Rest was built into creation. It was blessed, it was set apart, and it's holy. And when we resist rest or feel guilty for sleeping or slowing down, we're actually resisting one of God's very first invitations to trust him. Y'all, I want to use every moment of alone time to get all the tasks done without my kids around. Very rarely do I take the time to rest. And if I do feel guilty for slowing down. And I know I'm not alone, but it helps me so much if God's involved here. If I remember that I am not choosing to rest, I am actually resisting one of God's very first invitations to follow him and to trust him by resting. Wow. And you know what? When you're resting in that time, you can use that time to listen to praise and worship music, or have your quiet time, or pray and sleep, all the things. There's so many ways to use that time of rest. Psalm 127:2 says, "It is in vain that you rise up early and go late to rest, eating the bread of anxious toil, for he gives to his beloved sleep." Your worth isn't how much you get done in a day. Your peace does not come from pushing through. Your rest is a gift. It is an act of worship. So tonight, as you wind down, ask yourself, what would it look like to honor my body and my faith by resting with intention? You're not being lazy. You're being obedient, and you're being held. So here's your gentle reminder for the day. Sleep is not optional. It's your most affordable, effective, God-designed medicine. If you've been running on empty, maybe what your body needs isn't another supplement or another hustle. Maybe It just needs a little bit of rest and a little bit of a regulated cycle, not only at night, but a wake-up cycle in the morning. So pick one thing from today's list, I challenge you, and give it a try tonight. Let sleep do what it was created to do, which is to heal you. Amazing information. A lot of great information for me today as well. So if this episode blessed you, send it to a tired mama, a tired friend, someone who struggles with sleep, a relative who needs it. And as always, thank you so much for being here. I hope that you learned something new to do for yourself and take care of yourself. And remember that sleep is a gift and it is actually cleaning our brains. And who doesn't want a clean brain? So until next time, sleep sweet and continue becoming. Have a great one. Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you've enjoyed today's episode, hit that follow button, leave a 5-star review if you're so willing, and help spread the message of Becoming Natural by sharing it with a friend. Check out the resources in the show notes and join the email list to stay on top of all the latest and greatest happenings at Becoming Natural as we roll out exciting new things while we grow. Until next time, take those baby steps to a more natural life and always give yourself grace. Progress, not perfection, is the goal. See you next week.